Ben Lake, please.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Minister, for appearing before us this morning. I should like to ask you a few questions just on the legacy of historic metal mines, especially in Mid Wales and in Ceredigion, part of my constituency. Last year, in May 2024, our predecessor committee held a session on the impact of metal mining in Wales, and particularly the lead contamination of certain river systems as a consequence of these historic mines. Very grateful at the time the Welsh Government did contribute to that session and give us a lot of useful information about some of the work that they were undertaking through Natural Resources Wales in conjunction with the then Coal Authority, but now the Mines Remediation Authority. I'm just wondering whether there are any updates or any work that's been able to take place since we held that session back in May 2024.
So we established the Metal Mines programme in 2020, funded by the Welsh Government, but now being delivered through the Mine Remediation Authority. I know it's a UK-wide problem. It affects 9% of rivers in England and Wales, 2% in Scotland, and we've worked actively with stakeholders to understand the issue and possible remedies. And I mentioned the funding, 4.5 million, which has been provided. But also since 2020, we've provided £40 million to the Water Quality Capital Programme. So that's being delivered by Natural Resources Wales to implement targeted remediation as well. And the remediation programme also invests in research projects, exploring innovative treatment solutions, including then working with industry and academia on treatment trials at both lab and pilot field scale as well. So again, not my portfolio, but I hope that gives you a flavour of the work, and we will absolutely send a more detailed note on that, if that's okay.
Thank you, Minister. I appreciate that. And perhaps, if I may also ask you to relay it to the relevant Minister, that there's a lot of work that has been undertaken in terms of addressing the pollution at the sources of them, the old mines themselves, which is very welcome. One aspect of it is the historic contamination of the river systems further downstream. So in many parts of my Ceredigion constituency in particular, we have entire river systems that have impacted over the last century or in some cases even longer. And there's some interesting work being undertaken by Professor Mark Macklin and Professor Chris Thomas. They've developed a mapping tool that helps agencies, local authorities where relevant, to identify the high-risk areas in every single catchment area. And what Professor Macklin, in conjunction with another professor, Professor Paul Brewer, has recently done in Talabont, is to use that information to inform a community survey where residents were able to bring soil samples just to get it checked out, because the message that is important to get over to communities is that this is a hazard, but it can be managed and mitigated, provided that we know where the highest risk levels are. And so I wonder whether that could be something that community-based but informed by this mapping tool could perhaps be an approach to help address and mitigate the risk that this historic legacy poses in some river systems and valleys in Wales. And I'd be very grateful if you could perhaps relay that to the relevant Minister, because I know the work that's been undertaken in Talabont could be of use to other areas and communities in Wales.
Yeah, well, that's really interesting, especially because local authorities have the duty to identify contaminated land in their areas. So, if there's a mapping tool which can usefully help them do that and actually involve the community itself, I think that's really interesting. So I will definitely pass that on.